Hello friends, welcome to this channel Lightning Mind, and in this session we are going to discuss about the theoretical concepts of busbar switching schemes. We will discuss about the different types of busbar switching schemes which are most commonly and most frequently used across the various substations, right from the distribution level to the transmission level and up to the generating stations. In last 5 or 6 sessions, we have discussed about the practical implementation and the relay configuration of Siemens 6MD66 BCU using Dixie 4 software. Starting from this session and in next couple of sessions, we will discuss about the theoretical concept of busbar protection, wherein we will discuss with the busbar switching schemes, followed by the high impedance and low impedance busbar protection system, the effect of CT saturation, on busbar protection, the CT switching schemes, and then we will discuss about the centralized and decentralized busbar protection. After that, we will move back to the practical sessions wherein we will discuss about the implementation of Siemens centralized busbar and decentralized busbar protection system using Dixie 4 software. So now, without wasting further time, let us start with our today's session, which is on the different types of busbar switching schemes, and the PPT which I am going to show is basically prepared from the open sources which are available on Google, and the animations of the power flow are used for better understanding of the scheme and also to reduce the time in our this video session. So now let us start with today's session. So first of all, the simplest and the easiest busbar scheme is single busbar scheme. So I will start with this single busbar scheme. And in case of single busbar scheme, as the name suggests, there is only a single busbar to which multiple feeders will be connected. So this is why it is called single busbar scheme. So now these are suppose 4 feeders and which are connected to a busbar. In one of the earlier session, I have already explained that any feeder you can connect through a bus bar by using a circuit breaker, but in order to maintain that circuit breaker, in order to do any maintenance work on that circuit breaker, you must have two isolators on both sides of this breaker so that you can isolate the circuit breaker for safety purpose and for better maintenance. So now this is a breaker through which we can connect a feeder to the bus bar, and then the 2 isolators on the both side of this circuit breaker, and then the earth switch. This will be the repetition for all the 4 feeders. So sorry, here feeder 4 is not mentioned, so this is feeder 4. So feeder 1, feeder 2, feeder 3 and feeder 4, these are our 4 feeders which are connected to a single bus bar. So now if you see here, this is a single bus bar. To this, the 4 feeders, feeder 1, 2, 3 and 4 are connected. That's why it is called single bus bar scheme. Now this is a simple animation in which this bidirectional arrow means your bidirectional power flow, and which generally happens in case of your substations. In case of a transmission line which is connected between 2 substations, power may flow from one substation to another substation and also from the second substation to the first substation, depending upon the loading conditions, depending upon the profile of the voltage, depending upon the active and reactive power generated. So depending upon the various factor, your power direction may change from substation A to B or from substation B to A. Then moving on, the next feeder, it is shown the power is being imported to the our bus, and this might be the condition of suppose this feeder connected to a generating substation. So in case your feeder is connected to a generating substation or a generator, then your bus will always import the power. And then the third feeder, in this case, this arrow is shown in the export direction. So this feeder only all power will be exported, and this might be the case of suppose transmission line which is connected to some load centers. Now in this case, your power will always be in the exported direction. Now this is feeder 4, which is basically a transformer, and in this case also you will have power in bidirectional. That is, power maybe from maybe transferred from high voltage side to low voltage side or vice versa. So this is a very simple animation. And now suppose the very first case in which there is a fault on this circuit breaker, or this circuit breaker is faulty and you want to do some maintenance work. AMP here means annual maintenance plan. So now you want to do any maintenance on this circuit breaker. So in case you want to do any maintenance on this circuit breaker, that means you have to take this circuit breaker out of service, and once you take this circuit breaker out of service, the power flow on this feeder is interrupted. So now you see these are in the stop condition, no power is being uh, exported or imported through this feeder when your circuit breaker is faulty. There may be the second case. Before that, if you remove the fault, now power flow will be again normalized. The second case is, suppose the fault is on bus bar. So once there is a fault on this bus bar, what happens? All the feeders connected through this bus bar will get stripped, and the entire substation gets tripped, and there will be no power flow in the substation. So this is called blackout, and the chances of blackout in case of single bus bar scheme is very high, because this system has the least reliability. A single bus bar, all feeders are connected to this bus bar, and whenever there is a fault on this bus bar, the outages will be widespread. So once you remove the fault, your power flow will be normalized. Now the advantages, generally this single bus bar scheme is used up to 33 kV in India, or in some cases even 66 kV they are also using. But this is for the example for the Indian grid. But in other countries, this depend upon their regulations and their requirement. Now, the advantages: this has the lowest cost, a small land area required, easily expandable, and then the simple in concept and operation. So, what is the meaning of lowest cost? Why lowest cost? Because you have only one bus bar to which multiple feeders are connected, and all feeders need only one breaker and two isolators. So, the number of breakers and isolators are low, and this reduces your cost. Additionally, if you see, since there is only one breaker and two isolators, so the space requirement is low, so lower land area required. And if the land area requirement is low, then it will also lead to lowering of cost. So cost lowers. So there are multiple factors for lowest cost. Then the small land area requirement, easily expandable. What does this means? So this is a bus bar on which suppose four feeders are connected initially, and if you have a space available, you can just expand this bus bar and another feeders can be connected to this bus bar. So this is easily expandable, simple in concept of and operation that we have already seen. But the disadvantages, this has lowest reliability, as we have already seen. Suppose this is a single bus bar with multiple elements connected, and there is a fault on this bus bar. So the all the feeders connected to this bus bar will have interruptions or disruptions in power flow. So this is the lowest reliability. Second thing, failure of a circuit breaker causes loss of the feeder, and the bus fault causes loss of the entire substation. So what improvement we can make? The major problem in case of single bus bar scheme is your loss of entire substation in case of bus fault. So whenever there is a bus fault, your entire substation, all the feeders connected to the substation are tripped. And once all feeders tripped, their entire substation power will be lost. So what is our requirement? Our requirement is, if suppose there is a fault on this bus bar, our requirement is, suppose the fault is on this side, we want only this particular section to be tripped and the power through this feeder to remain in service. This is our requirement. This is the basic requirement. So how we can achieve this? We can achieve this by sectionalizing the single bus bar system. So this is our next topic, that is sectionalization of single bus bar arrangement. So now if you see, this is the same diagram in which I have shown four feeders connected to single bus bar. So these are your four feeders which are connected to single bus bar. The power flow through some of the feeders is bidirectional, some of the feeders power is exported, or some of the feeders power are being imported. So now if there is a fault on your circuit breaker, in that case your feeder 1, suppose the feeder 1 circuit breaker is in faulty condition, or you have taken this circuit breaker out of service for some maintenance work. In this case, the power through feeder 1 will get affected, or there will be no power flow through feeder 1, but all other feeders, that is feeder 2, feeder 3 and feeder 4, will remain in service. That's not an issue. The issue is, if suppose there is a fault on bus bar. In the earlier cases, what happens in the single bus bar scheme, that if there is a fault on bus bar, all the four feeders will get stripped and there is a widespread disturbance. So now, if suppose there is a fault on this system, what we can do, we can have the tripping of this section, but we may design our system in such a way that the power through these two circuits should remain in service. So now, how we can achieve? We have just sectionalized that bus bar into two parts, and suppose this is a fault in this portion. This system will be isolated, but your remaining two feeders, that is feeder 3 and feeder 4, these two feeders will remain in service and power will keep on importing or exporting or bidirectional or whatever it might be the case, that power exchange will keep on happening. And now the important thing is, how can you make a sectionalizer over here? Again, you can directly make a sectionalizer by connecting these two sections by one circuit breaker, and I have already explained in earlier sessions that you cannot have a circuit breaker connected between two live points, because in that case, in case of any maintenance work required on this circuit breaker, we cannot achieve. So we need isolators on both sides of breaker also. So this is the sectionalizer, one circuit breaker and two isolators on both sides of this breaker. This is sectionalizer CB. If you have removed the fault, your power flow will be as per this animation in all the four feeders. Bus sectionalizer will remain in service. And in case there is a fault, now your sectionalizer will trip and only one part of the system will remain in service and the remaining part will be out of service. So now there is a fault on this system. So this feeder 1, feeder 2 and this sectionalizer will be out of service and the power through these two will keep on happening. Now the advantages and disadvantages. The advantages are, first, the flexible operation, because now you can have the loss of only one portion of substation of the entire substation. High reliability than single bus bar scheme. Isolation of bus section for maintenance. Loss of only part of the substation for bus fault. The disadvantages. Disadvantages are, if you are taking any circuit breaker for maintenance, if you are taking any circuit breaker scheduled outage, in that case also there is a disruption in power flow on that particular feeder. Second thing, a sectionalized busbar arrangement has a higher cost because now you have one additional breaker and two isolators, so that will add to the total cost of your busbar scheme. Now, major disadvantage, circuit breaker failures are more than bus fault, that we already know, because the chances of a problem in one particular circuit breaker is always more than the chances of a problem in one particular bus bar. So in case there is a problem in your circuit breaker and you are taking that circuit breaker out of service for the attending those problems, then you will lose your important feeders. And then the second case, what you want is no requirement is, we doesn't want a loss of important circuit in case of circuit breaker outage. So how we can achieve? We can achieve this by bypassing the faulty circuit breaker. So suppose this is your feeder, which is connected through this isolator, breaker, isolator, and these isolators are in closed condition, closed condition, closed condition. But you are taking this circuit breaker out for suppose some maintenance work, and you want that your power flow should not get disturbed. So how we can achieve this? By simply using a bypass of this circuit breaker. So now this is bypassed, and once this is bypassed, your path for power will keep on happening. And this we will see in our next slide. That is the arrangement which is called main and transfer busbar arrangement. And in case of main and transfer busbar arrangement, this is the same slide that I have already shown multiple times. Now this is the normal condition in which the power is as per this animation in all the four feeders. Now there is a problem in this particular breaker, this particular circuit breaker, and the feeder 1 power is disrupted. But we doesn't want any disruption in power flow. So what we can do? We can have a bypass arrangement. So we have another bus bar. This is our main bus bar, and we have another bus bar which is your transfer bus bar, and that's why this scheme is called main and transfer bus scheme. So this is main and transfer bus scheme, and now what we have made is, we have connected this bypass arrangement or this circuit isolator to another bus which is transfer bus. But as you can see, the power flow will not start only by connecting this isolator to second bus, because for power flow to start, you must charge first this bus. So this charging of this bus is required, and that we can achieve by connecting this two bus together, which is through bus coupler, or in this particular case, this is your transfer bus coupler. So transfer bus coupler. What this transfer bus coupler does, basically, this connect these two buses, and once these two buses are connected, these two buses are charged. So now your power flow will like this. So this is the case. Once your this particular circuit breaker is out of service, this is out of service, but your power flow is maintained, and this power flow is maintained through this transfer bus like this. So since this bus is in charge condition, so through this transfer bus coupler, your power flow will be in service. So likewise for all other feeders, just it is a replica, and we will connect each and every feeder through the transfer bus by using isolators. But again, the drawback is, suppose there is a fault on this particular bus. So whenever there is a fault on this particular bus, all the four feeders which are connected to that bus will be tripped, and there will be interruption in power flow. There will be large scale outages. Your substation will be blacked out. So now, once you remove this fault, the system will run as desired. The advantages, the major advantages are circuit breaker outages or maintenance does not disrupt the service of feeder circuit. So whenever there is a circuit breaker outage, or you are taking a circuit breaker for scheduled maintenance, your feeder power will not get disturbed. Then the other three advantages, this is common for all up to double main, that is reasonable in cost, fairly a small land area requirement, and easily expandable. But disadvantages, in case of bus bar fault, there is a large scale disruption. The entire substation will be tripped. So an additional, the second point, an additional circuit breaker is required for bus tie, as you can see here. An additional circuit breaker over here is required for bus tie, and this will add to the cost of the system. So what improvement we can have in this scheme? Here we see that if there is a fault on bus bar, there is a large scale interruption of power flow in the system. So in main and transfer bus bar arrangement, bus fault results loss of entire substation, that is all circuits. The requirement is avoid loss of too many circuits in case of bus fault. What we want is that in case there is a fault on bus bar, we doesn't want multiple outages. We doesn't want that in case of a bus bar fault, we doesn't want that entire substation should get tripped. We want that there should be minimum outage in case of your bus bar fault. Likewise, we also want that if there is a fault on one particular circuit breaker, the power flow through the feeder should not get affected. These are the two basic requirements, and on the basis of these requirements only the different types of bus bar arrangements are designed. So now to achieve this requirement of avoid loss of too many circuits in case of bus fault, so how we can achieve? By providing another main bus for connection of circuit. So we are using another main bus for connection of circuit, and this concept is called another main bus. Earlier we have one main bus, now we have another main bus. That means the next scheme which is coming up is now double main scheme. So double main scheme, double main bus scheme, these are generally used in gas insulated substations in India, gas insulated switch gears up to 220 and 400 kV also. Double main bus schemes are used. So now this is the arrangement. In case of double main schemes, this is your feeder 1 which is connected to suppose bus 1 through one breaker and two isolators on both sides of circuit breakers. Then there is second bus, this is main bus 2, and this feeder is connected to main bus 2 also through the second feeder. Likewise, feeder 2, feeder 3, feeder 4, these all are replica of feeder 1. Then the two buses are connected together through bus coupler, and how this bus coupler works, that I have already explained in one of the previous sessions, wherein I have discussed in detail about the double main and transfer bus bar scheme and 1.5 breaker schemes. So I have already discussed in greater details in depth how these bus couplers are used, how these bus couplers are designed. So everything I have discussed already. Now, if you see here, there are two buses, bus 1 and bus 2. Some of the feeders are charged through bus 1, some other feeders are charged through bus 2. And the feeders which are charged through bus 1, In this particular case, are feeder 3 and feeder 4. Feeders which are charged through bus 2 are feeder 1 and feeder 2, and bus coupler will remain in service, or bus coupler will be in charge condition. Now suppose there is a problem in one particular circuit breaker, or this particular circuit breaker is taken out of service due to for maintenance work or due to some other reason. In that case, your power flow on this feeder will be affected. But the thing is that suppose there is a problem on bus bar 2. So now there is a problem on bus bar 2. What happens now? Only those feeders which are connected to bus bar 2 will get stripped, and other feeders should remain in service, or other feeders will definitely remain in service. Another thing, if your the fault on this bus bar is supposed for the longer period, or if the fault you cannot restore this bus bar immediately, then what we can do, we can charge these remaining two feeders, feeder 1 and feeder 2, through bus bar 1. So if you see here, all the four feeders are now connected through bus bar 1. This. Just look at these isolators, this power flow. This is bus 1, this is bus 1, and this is bus 1. And only thing is bus 2 isolators and the bus coupler are in open condition. So double main bus bar scheme, this is very simple scheme. Generally, whenever there is no fault in the system, some of the feeders will be charged through bus 1, some of the feeders will be charged through bus 2, and your bus coupler will remain in service. The advantages are the basic advantage: bus bar outages or maintenance does not disrupt the service of any feeder. So if there is any problem on bus bar, if you want to do any maintenance activity on bus bar, it doesn't affect the service of any feeder. Reasonable in cost, fairly small land area, and easily expandable. Disadvantages: in case there is a problem on circuit breaker itself, then there will be disruption of service of that feeder. So major disadvantages are, in case there is a problem on your circuit breaker, then there is chances, or then definitely there will be interruption of power flow. So if you see, the double main bus bar arrangement is an alternative to main and transfer bus scheme. In both cases, the investment is same. The only difference is, in double main bus, the outage of bus bar, and in main and transfer bus, the outage of breaker is prioritized. That we have already seen. Then the interruption of power during isolator operation. So the requirement, our requirements are that we must take care of bus fault as well as circuit breaker outage, and in both cases the power flow through one particular feeder should not get affected. That is, power flow should always remain uh, as it is whenever there is a fault on bus bar and circuit breaker both. Then also the power flow should not get affected. This is our basic requirement. And how we can achieve? We can achieve this by using main buses as main cum transfer bus. We can use any one bus. So earlier what we are doing was, we are using two main buses. We were using two main buses, but now instead of using two main bus, we will use one as main bus, and one bus we will use as, this bus we will use as main cum transfer. So this is the thing that I am going to explain in next slide, and this is the arrangement, very double main cum transfer bus bar arrangement. So there are again the four feeders which are connected to either bus 1 or bus 2. Now bus 1 is both, that is bus 1 is for bus main bus, and also bus 1 is will be used for transfer also. So now feeder 1, it is connected through main bus 1 and main bus 2 using two isolators, and then the circuit breakers and one isolators on the opposite side of circuit breaker, then the earth switch, and this is the common arrangement for all the remaining three feeders. Then the bus 1 and bus 2 will be coupled together using one breaker and two isolators, and the normal power flow is like this, in which case suppose feeder 1 and feeder 2 is getting power from bus 1, and feeder 3 and feeder 4 are getting power through bus 2, or energized through bus 1 or bus 2. Now in case there is a fault on main bus 1, what happens? Some of the circuits which are connected to that bus, it will get tripped, and there will be a loss in power. But what we can do, suppose there is a problem in bus bar for longer duration of time, or suppose there is a bus 1 outage for maintenance work. In that case, we can transfer, or we can charge these two feeders, feeder 1 and feeder 2, through second bus, and the power flow will remain stationary. There will be no change in power flow prior to the fault and power flow after removal of the fault, or power flow after shifting the circuit from bus 1 to bus 2 or from bus 2 to bus 1. So now in case there is a problem in suppose any one bus, the feeder will remain charged through the second bus. But the case is, what happens when there is a problem in the circuit breaker itself? Now, there is a problem in the circuit breaker itself. Now, there is a chance that your this feeder will lose the power. There is a disruption in power for this circuit. And how we can remove this, how we can address this problem is simply by bypassing the circuit breaker. And that's why it is called the double main come transfer bus bar scheme, because now we are using a bypass arrangement, and this is a simple bypass arrangement in which one isolator is bypassing the circuit breaker and this is connected to this main bus, and that's why this bus is now called main one or bus one come transfer bus. This is the replica for second, third and fourth feeder. Now once there is a problem in this breaker will be out of service and your power flow will be through transfer bus. Once the fault is removed, all circuits will remain in service as it is. The advantages: double main come transfer bus advantages are bus bar outage or maintenance does not disrupt the service of any feeder. Circuit breaker outages does not cause disruption of service of that feeder. Reasonable in cost, fairly small land area and easily expandable. Then what are the disadvantages or what are the drawback? First thing, additional isolator in each circuit. So additional isolator in each circuit causes or increases the cost. What are the advantages? The double main come transfer bus bar arrangement, outage of circuit breaker and bus together causes loss of faulty circuit feeders. So in case there is a fault on bus bar and at the same time there is a problem in one particular uh, feeder circuit breaker, then there will be outages and there will be power loss on that feeder. The second thing, the requirement. What is our requirement? Our requirement is avoid loss of feeder in case of simultaneous outage of circuit breakers and main bus. So whenever there are simultaneous outage, of circuit breaker and main bus, we doesn't want an important circuit to lose the power. So this how to achieve by providing separate transfer bus. So now we will use separate transfer bus along with double main buses. So now you are having double main buses and separate transfer bus. So this is separate transfer bus. That means double main and separate transfer. So this is double main and transfer bus bar arrangement. And this is the most commonly used bus bar arrangement up to 400 kV in state utilities in India, and the central transmission utilities are using up to 220 kV, but in some states, in some power sectors, the double main and transfer bus bar schemes are used for 400 kV also. So now this double main and transfer bus bar scheme. So the feeder 1, now it will be connected to both buses, bus 1 and bus 2, through two different isolators. So this is your feeder 1, one circuit breaker, and on the both sides of this circuit breaker there are isolators. So one isolator connected to the feeder, then there will be the isolator on the other side of this breaker, and one isolator will be connected to bus 2, another isolator will be connected to bus 1. Then the repetition or exact replica of feeder 1 is for the feeder 2, feeder 3, feeder 4, and this portion is called your bus coupler. So this is your bus coupler which couples both both main buses. And I have already explained the usage of this bus coupler in one of the theoretical session. In case of any doubt, just go to the playlist, watch the session, and still if there are any doubt, then you can always comment in the comment section and I will try to explain those concepts. Now, when everything is okay, what happens? Some of the feeders will be charged through bus 1, some of the feeders will be charged through bus 2, and bus coupler will be in service. So now this feeder is charged through bus 1 because this isolator is animation. This is charged through bus 1, this is also charged through bus 1, this is charged through bus 2, this is charged through bus 2, and bus coupler is in closed condition. Now there is a fault on this bus bar. Once there is a fault on this bus bar, what happens? All the feeders connected to this bus bar will get tripped or will get isolated. But here faulty doesn't only means bus bar fault. Faulty doesn't only means bus bar fault, but it also includes your maintenance work. So if you are taking this bus bar out of service for some maintenance work, in that case you can have the continuity of supply by shifting these two feeders to the uh, first bus, and that's why now we have shifted these two feeders to first bus, and power is maintained through feeder 1, feeder 2, feeder 3 and feeder 4 from bus 1 only. Bus coupler is in tripped condition and your bus 2 is faulty or under maintenance work. Now suppose there is a problem in this particular feeder breaker. What happens if there is a problem in this particular feeder breaker? The power flow through this feeder will get affected, but we doesn't want any power interruption in this feeder, even in case of the fault on bus bar as well as the fault on circuit breakers simultaneously. So what we can do, we can have a bypass of this circuit breaker through another set of bus. That bus is called transfer bus. Now this is transfer bus, and I have connected this breaker or this complete arrangement to this third bus, that is transfer bus, and transfer bus is uh, connected through both main bus 1 and main bus 2. And in case there is a problem in this circuit breaker, now what happens, this feeder will be now charged through main bus 1 circuit breaker, this transfer bus isolator, and this transfer bus isolator, once you close it, then this feeder will get its power through transfer bus. The advantage is, even if there are simultaneous fault on bus bar as well as on circuit breaker, your power will not get interrupted, or there will be no disruption in power supply. All the feeders shall remain in service. The drawback is there are many isolators now in your bus bar schemes, and the multiple isolators in bus bar schemes makes the bus bar protection schemes very complicated, as well as there are many operational challenges because, as you know, the isolators are the air interrupted switches, and the chances of arcing, the chances of hot spot formation in case of isolators during operation as well as during high wind conditions are very high, and so your maintenance frequency, the maintenance is, total maintenance cost also keeps on increasing with the addition of additional isolators in the circuit. So now this is the same thing that I have already explained. Now, what are the advantages? The advantages are bus bar outages and maintenance does not disrupt the service of any feeder. Second thing, the circuit breaker outage does not cause disruption of service of that feeder. Third thing, the maintenance of bus bar and CB. This is very important. Maintenance of bus bar and CB does not interrupt the supply. And the maintenance of bus bar and CB here means simultaneous maintenance. That is, if you are taking one bus bar and one circuit breaker out, then also your continuity of supply will be there. The drawback, additional isolators and circuit breaker required for transfer bus tie. And what are major disadvantages? The major disadvantage are interruption of power is likely to cause major disturbance if the feeder are important and heavily loaded, and there are always a chance of power interruption in case of there is a fault on one particular bus bar. I am not talking about faulty bus bar. In case of faulty bus bar, yes, you can shift that particular feeder to a second feeder. But suppose a feeder is in service through bus 1 and then there is a fault on bus 1 only. So your feeder will get interrupted and there will be no power flow on that feeder. So requirement, avoid interruption of important and heavily loaded feeders during bus fault or outage of circuit breaker. And how we can achieve this? We can achieve by using double field through circuit breakers. And this is the case of 1.5 circuit breaker, which are generally used in India for up to 765 kV and across various utilities. And it might depend upon the policies, upon the requirement of one particular country, that what scheme they are adopting. But in India, the 1.5 circuit breaker schemes are generally used for 400 kV and above, including the 1200 kV test stations. So now, how these 1.5 breaker schemes are implemented? So suppose there are two feeders, feeder 1 and feeder 2, or for that matter feeder 2 or feeder 3. So now feeder 2 is connected through bus 1, feeder 2 is connected through, feeder 3 is connected through bus 2. Now up to this point, these both feeders are having only single feed, that is feeder 2 from bus 1, feeder 3 from bus 2. But we can connect these two feeders by using another tie breakers and isolators, and now both feeders will have two feeds, and that's why it is called 1.5 circuit breaker scheme, because now there are two feeders which are connected through three breakers, 1, 2 and 3. So two feeders are being controlled by three circuit breakers, and then it is called 1.5 circuit breaker schemes. And these breakers, this and this, are called main circuit breakers or main bay, and this is called tie circuit breaker or tie bay. Similar arrangements are used for feeder 1 and feeder 4 also. So this is the arrangement. Now this is the normal operation. In case of normal operations, all circuit breakers will remain in service. Your power flow will be depending upon the loading requirement, depending upon the loading conditions, and as per the arrows shown in my slides. Now, if there is any requirement of maintenance of this tie circuit breaker, or if this tie circuit breaker is faulty, then what happens? Your feeder 2 will remain in service through main CB of bus 1. Feeder 3 will remain in service through the main CB of bus 2. Once you remove this fault, all two feeders, now these two feeders will remain in service through all three breakers. But now suppose this main CB is taken out of service for some maintenance work, or this CB is in faulty condition. So in that case also, feeder 3 will get the feed through bus 2, and feeder 2 will get the feed through bus 2 by using tie circuit breaker, and your both circuits will remain in service. In case there is a problem on bus 1 itself, so what happens? There is a problem on bus 1, so it will trip all the circuit breakers connected to bus 1, and your feeder 2 will be charged through the tie circuit breaker and main circuit breaker from bus 2, and similarly feeder 1 will be charged for using tie CB and main CB of bus 2, and the remaining two feeders will be charged through the main CB of bus 2 only. So now there are another chances. Suppose there is fault on both bus 1 and bus 2. In that case also there will be some power flow through your substation, and that will be through, suppose, this feeder 2 through tie CB, and then the power will be exported to feeder 3, or it might be power is being imported from feeder 3 to tie CB and then exported to feeder 2. Likewise for feeder 1, feeder 4 condition also. So what are the advantages? The advantages are flexible operation, high reliability, can isolate either main bus for maintenance without disrupting service. So you can isolate either main bus, that is, you can isolate either bus 1 or bus 2 for maintenance without disrupting service. So without disrupting service. Can isolate any circuit breaker for maintenance without disrupting service. Double feed to each circuit, that is, each circuit are charged through main bus 1 or main bus 2 at the same time. Bus fault does not interrupt service to any circuit, and then the all switching done with circuit breaker. Disadvantages. There are three circuit breakers required for controlling two circuits, so the cost will be comparatively higher as compared to the earlier schemes. Also, the land requirement, area requirement will be higher in case of 1.5 circuit breaker schemes. Improvement. What improvement we can have? In a transmission system, the highest reliable bus bar arrangement adopted by any power grid is 1.5 bus bar scheme. However, where bulk evacuation without alternative path is concerned, then further reliable arrangement may be adopted, and that scheme is called your double breaker arrangement. So the connection of circuits in double bus bar arrangement, where each circuit will have a spare circuit breaker in service. Where it can be used for large generating plants where implication of generation outage is much higher than the cost of circuit breakers. So double bus arrangement, you are having four feeders, feeder 1, feeder 2, feeder 3, feeder 4. All four feeders are connected to bus 1 and bus 2 through two different circuit breakers, one from bus 1 and another from bus 2. And now on both sides of breakers you will be having isolators, so it will be the replica of feeder 1 to feeder 2, 3 and 4. This is the arrangement. Now normally the power flow will be like this, and suppose there is a problem on this particular breaker, then the feeder 1 power will be through bus 2 using this circuit breaker. Now if there is a problem on bus 1 itself, so what happens? All the breakers connected to bus 1 will get tripped, and your power flow to all the four feeders will be through bus 2. If there is a problem on bus 2, then the power flow will be through bus 1. The advantages: double bus arrangement. These are generally used for mega generating units, having flexible operation, very high reliability, isolation of either main bus for maintenance without disrupting the service, isolation of any circuit breaker for maintenance without disrupting service. I have already explained. Double feed to each circuit, that I have also explained. Double feed, if you see here, each circuits are feeded through bus 2 as well as from bus 1. So double feed to each circuit, then no interruption of service to any circuit for bus fault, loss of only one circuit for breaker failure, all switching with circuit breaker. So the disadvantages, this carries a higher cost and the two circuit breakers are required for each circuit. So your cost will be higher as compared to all the other schemes. But generally because of the outages of a large mega generating units, the cost implication will be very high as compared to the one-time investment of double circuit breakers. So in mega generating units, they might be having double main, double breaker, double bus arrangement, and hopefully I have explained the concept of various bus bar schemes in such a way that you will understand those concepts by only watching this video. And in case you have any doubts, you can always comment in the comment section, so that based upon the feedback received from your side, I will try to improve upon from our coming sessions onward. I will try to make these sessions or the coming sessions more and more knowledgeable, more interesting, based upon the feedback received from your side. Also, if you like this video, then please share this video with your friends, so that more and more people get aware about these concepts and they may apply these concepts in their organization, in their utilities, or wherever they are working. And as I have already stated in the beginning of the session already, that we will be having 3 or 4 theoretical sessions before starting the practical relay configuration of your Siemens bus bar relay using Dixie 4 software. And I will keep this session only up to this point. We will meet again in our next session with some other topic. Till then, thank you and goodbye.